The Galaxy Z Flip 6 is the result of all the subtle refinements and improvements made to the Flip 5. Tech media and creators were a bit bummed as the Flip 6 was an iterative update this year, and yeah, it is. But this refined iteration is just what the Flip series needed. With a bigger battery, much improved hinge and crease, and an upgraded camera sensor, the Flip 6 is not just a polished foldable, it's a very polished phone for just about everyone. I know a lot of us tech fans are disappointed, but I think this is the one that'll start to get regular sat phone users to actually make the switch. Before I go over all the details, I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to the channel. It's totally free, but it would really help me a ton. From first glance, the design doesn't look that different from last year's Flip 5, but if you look a little closer and hold it in your hands, you'll notice all the new details. The new sleek matte design, a noticeably boxier brushed aluminum frame, the updated minimal speaker grille, the new rings around the cameras, and a new dual rail hinge with a much less noticeable crease. With an ugly crease always being a major hurdle for lots of people not switching to a foldable, the longer but shallower crease on the Flip 6 looks so much better, and I think it'll now be a non-issue for even more people than before. With all these things together and the new added color options, the Flip 6 actually looks and feels really nice and premium. Especially with this new silver shadow color option, I personally think it looks and feels even better than the S24 and the S24 Plus, and basically on par with the S24 Ultra. Plus that closing sound never gets old. If you were ever worried about durability on these flips, this one finally has IP48 water and dust resistance, and the aluminum frame is now enhanced for better drop and scratch resistance. While the haptics for typing and taps are very good on this phone, my only complaint about the hardware is that the vibration definitely needs to be toned down. It's a very strong, sharp buzz, and so I have it set it to the lowest level to compensate, but it's still coming on a bit too strong. With the updated hinge and crease, you get an even better view of the excellent display inside. This is still a very similar 6.7-inch 1080p LTPO AMOLED with a variable 120Hz refresh rate, but it can now get up to 2600 nits of peak brightness, so you'll definitely have no issues using this in the sun. This isn't really news, but while the tall aspect ratio is not the greatest for watching YouTube videos, it's great for 21:9 movies, and it's also great for browsing and reading since you get a ton of content vertically. Because of that, it's also perfect for vertical split multitasking or for picture-in-picture. You still get a ton of content while having a video playing at the top or bottom. Of course, with strong light sources being reflected, there are times when the crease is very noticeable, but as a whole, all types of content do look nicer with the crease being less noticeable. On the flip side, the 3.4-inch cover screen has seen no changes whatsoever, same specs in all areas. There are other flip foldables that have noticeably bigger cover displays with smaller bezels, but I personally like the size here. While it's definitely not the best for watching movies or TV shows, it's big enough to get a lot of things done on this little display. I can easily check notifications, weather, Samsung Health updates, even type and send text, check threads, and even use it to have a video podcast on. And I love how easy it is to control music and podcasts using the media player. I do wish the next version would have a higher resolution display because I can see some pixelation here and maybe at least a 90Hz display, but that's definitely more of a nitpick. What I was surprisingly really impressed with was the stereo speakers. The stereo sound was very even, super loud considering the form factor, and there was really good depth and range coming from these speakers. The dual camera system also saw some updates. There's still no telephoto lens for optical zoom, but the main camera is now a 50 megapixel sensor, which supposedly gets you 2x lossless zoom, just like the main camera on the S24 series. And the 12 megapixel ultra wide is supposedly a little better in low light, but no other changes other than that. I'm personally not a big fan of using the ultra wide lens, so I didn't get to use it too much. I thought it looked great in daylight and decent enough for low light. A lot of details still do go missing, but this isn't much better on any other phone, so I don't really have much complaints here. As for the main camera, it might not seem like much of an upgrade, but I was really impressed with the Flip 6. I take most of my photos at around 1.2x to 2x on my S24 Plus, and I was really happy to achieve very similar results on my Flip 6. Like any phone camera, the lighting matters a lot, but with just enough light indoors and outdoors, I was able to capture really impressive dynamic shots in all kinds of environments. Zooming in more than 2x will start to get less impressive for sure, but there actually is something to this camera upgrade. I give a lot of credit to Samsung's much improved post-processing over the last 2 years. Post-processing might take a second or two, but the shutter and capture speed have improved a ton. Colors look fantastic, and they have just enough pop without being oversaturated. I did notice that the Flip 6 does oversharpen just a tiny bit, so I did turn on picture softening, and I recommend you do as well for slightly cleaner photos. But either way, I thought all these images look really clean without much grain. The 10 megapixel selfie camera is more the same. I think it's actually pretty good, especially with skin tones, but nothing too impressive. But this is a flip, so you can simply prop this up to just use the rear cameras for selfies, and they look great. More than anything, I really like how the Flip 6 captures portraits of people and portraying skin tones. Samsung's post-processing is much better at this than on iPhone, so I'm not too surprised here. With all that said though, the rear cameras do start to struggle a bit in low light. You lose a lot of details, the vibrance, and you need to stay very still for the shutter to capture a clear image. You can still get decent results, but it's definitely not as impressive as your daylight images. Similar results on the video side. In daylight, the Flip 6 is a very good video shooter even when you use the zoom until the 2x mark. Great image quality with reliable stabilization. Just like the photos though, you do take a bit of a hit in quality and stabilization in low light situations. But it is still on par with the S24 series and other flagship devices, so I'm not complaining. And one of the biggest selling points of shooting video with this phone is the flexibility. You can use it like a camcorder, you can prop it up for still video without needing a tripod, you can record selfie vlogs with the rear camera and get a pretty large viewfinder to see what you're recording. With this kind of flexibility, it's definitely one of the best vlogging options out there. So yeah, not the most impressive camera hardware considering that there isn't a telephoto, but the main sensor upgrade makes this a reliable camera system and it's no longer a liability when getting a Galaxy Z Flip phone. With One UI 6.1.1, you get a lot of fun new AI features that add on to the camera experience. There's generative editing to remove objects or subjects from photos. Sometimes you get really weird results, but sometimes you actually get some really convincing ones. My absolute favorite new addition to Galaxy AI is Sketch to Image. It's actually insane how well this works and how convincing it can look. Even though it is gimmicky, it's such a fun feature that I use a ton just to have fun sending weird or funny edited pictures to friends and family. There's also instant slow-mo, which artificially adds frames to your videos so you can view any of them in slow motion. Super cool. There's also the infamous Portrait Studio effects that can convert portraits to drawings or 3D animations. It's cool for a new profile photo, but definitely the most gimmicky feature out of all these photo editing options. Outside of the gallery, there's the same Galaxy AI features from before, like Circle to Search, Chat Assist, and Interpreter mode. But Interpreter mode now has the option to move the conversation to both the inside and the cover screen to give better translation visibility to the person you're talking to. While it's not the most practical feature, if I am lost in a country where I don't speak the language, I can see myself trying this out. And outside of Galaxy AI, One UI is a very smooth experience, and personally, I think it's the most functional and reliable version of Android with automation features with modes and routines, so many customizable options like the theme store. I love all the multitasking options you get like Edge Panel or 3-finger swipe up, and you get 7 years of OS and security updates. And with Good Lock, you can use basically any app right on the cover screen, and I actually do use it to check text-based social media feeds, watch YouTube videos that I mostly just have to listen to, and even send short text here and there. So because of the quick things I can do here, I can check things more efficiently and actually don't use my phone as much, which I personally really like. My only gripes are that swiping sensitivity is weirdly too high, and some apps scale to tablet mode, making everything tiny. But besides those things, I love this cover screen, and One UI is a dependable software experience. And everything here runs well thanks to the upgraded internals too. There's a new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset with finally 12 gigs of RAM instead of 8. In terms of the day-to-day use case and even short-form video editing, you'll see no performance differences between the Flip 6 and any other flagship phone. The only area you may see a subtle difference is in gaming. Because of the compact foldable form factor, heat management and processing stability are a bit more unstable compared to regular slab phones and the bigger foldables. But thanks to the new vapor chamber inside, the gaming performance has improved a bit compared to past foldables, and you'll see respectable gaming performance here. But when pushing this phone for long periods of time with a high-end game like Genshin Impact, or if you use the camera a bunch, the phone will start to heat up a lot. I was never interrupted, but the phone did get very hot where I wanted to leave it alone for a bit. So how is the battery life, and is it finally good now? From my testing, with an upgraded 4000 mAh battery, the Flip 6 is now a full day phone. It's definitely not a battery champ that can last you more than that, but I never struggled to get through to the end of the day using this phone. With a combination of using the less power consuming cover screen and the more efficient chipset inside, the Flip 6 gave me really reliable battery run times. I usually had 4 to sometimes 5 hours of screen on time until I was at around 10%. Sometimes I ended the day at 50% with more than 3 hours of screen on time. This is very close to what I was getting with the S24 Plus, which has a much larger battery, so I'm very satisfied here. The downside is that the charging is still painfully slow at only 25 watts. From around 10%, it usually takes me more than an hour and a half to get to 100%. Considering the stronger battery life, this is less painful, but Samsung really needs to upgrade their charging times for all their phones. So putting everything together, while the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 might not seem too different from the Flip 5, the small refinements everywhere make it a very polished foldable. A much more premium design with a less noticeable hinge, great display and speakers, a very dependable and flexible camera system, reliable software and performance, and a full day's worth of battery life. Of course, there's still some improvements Samsung can make here, just like what Chinese OEMs have been doing with their foldables, but with Samsung's global availability and widespread customer and software support, it's a bit hard to recommend any other foldable to most people outside of the tech community. So for me, I love the refinements made on the Flip 6, and I think this is the ideal foldable choice for most people. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Flip 6 and if you agree or disagree with my thoughts here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.